Alright, so in this section, I'll be talking about antibody-mediated effector functions. And so there are four ways that your body can help prevent or protect you. There's four ways antibodies help protect your body from pathogens. You have neutralization, opsonization, complex fixation, and then you have the antibody-dependent cell-mediated cytotoxicity, or the ADCC. So with neutralization, you have your antigens. Then they will bind to these antibodies, and when they bind to the antibodies, one, they each create their own complex, and two, the bonding of these helps these will block the pathogen from entering the host cell. That's what it is. And so the binding will then signal a phagocytic cell that will come through, and basically it engulfs each complex. And when it engulfs each complex, it kills off. It just kills everything. And so with this, so with neutralization is used to prevent toxins, or for example, they're used to prevent toxins from entering the body. Say with snake bites, they would use the vaccine, they would use the B cells to fight against the toxin from toxins, and the antibodies would bind to and stop the entry of the toxin into the cell. So with opsonization, you have your antigens, and these, it takes a different step. After they're bonded to the pathogen, these end up linking up with a phagocytic cell. Pretty sure I spelled that wrong. But these link up to the phagocytic cell from the FC receptors. These are the FC receptors. These will bind to one another, and once these are binded to one another, the phagocytic cells will basically destroy the antibodies entering the complex after they're made from where they're bonded at. So the antibodies will come through where they end up binding at, then coming back and destroying each complex itself. So with opsonization, these will bind specifically to a specific pathogen. Opsonization is an effective way of use is with disease that carry that cause deficiencies in the complex system. This will make them prone to infections, and this will make them prone to bacterial infections and any other type of infections. With the complement system is a little bit more complex. The complement fixation system, the antibody binds to the antigens, and the antibodies bind to the antigen, creating a cascade of events called the complement cascade. The antibodies and the antigens form a complex called the C1 complex. Once the C1 complex is formed, fragments called the C2A and the C4B fragments will combine together, forming the C3 convertase, which causes the C3 hydrolysis, which will cause the C3 hydrolysis. The C3B and the C3A fragments are formed while the C3B will cleave to the C5 into the C5a, and the C5b fragments will with the C5b fragments and the B fragments of C5 will combine with C6 to C9 complexes, forming what's called the MAC. And the MAC is the membrane attacking complex, which destroys the pathogen, which will end up destroying the pathogens through phagocytosis and lysis of the cell. So for the last one, ADCC, this one is kind of like optionalization. What's going to happen is, again, you have your antigens, and they're binding to the pathogens, and what happens is through the Fc receptors, they're going to bind through what's called the natural killer T cells. And what once these end up binding to the natural killer cells, each complex, the natural killer cells sends a signal to what's called apoptosis. And what apoptosis is basically cell-mediated death. So each complex is destroyed off through apoptosis. And with ADCC, it can be useful for through cancer treatment. And so what happens is they will send the natural killer cells will send directly to the direct natural killer T cells are sent directly to towards the tumor cells in the body, and once these are shot into the tumor cells, again, apoptosis can occur, basically killing off the tumor cell and basically doing away with cancer.